What is up? It is your boy Rad Bingham, aka Rad's Fault. Over there is Mr. Wolf. What's going? Oh, over there. Wrong over there. What's going on, Mr. Wolf Craze?
Not much, man. Just warming up with a nice cup of coffee and this beautiful amateur hour commentary portrait mug.
That's a nice plug. Where did you get that coffee cup?
Oh my gosh, just go to amateurhourcommentary.com. You can find some nice stuff over there, particularly our marketplace over on Teespring. If you guys like the shirts that we're wearing, the mug that we're repping, be sure to check it out.
Oh, it's good stuff. So you've reached episode 3 with Tech Talk again on AHC. Just wanted to go over a few things. Probably one of the biggest talked announcement was about 5 days ago with Sony PlayStation actually announcing a PSVR 2. Just talking about it, but they actually are talking about it. So we know that it's something. Mm-hmm. It's alive.
It exists.
It does exist. It's out there. We know a few more details now. No more guessing or any of that. Let's see if we pull up the first clip for me. So basically, we've got. I'm going to kill this name here. Hideki Nishino, the Senior Vice President, Platform Planning and Management. And he came out with, go ahead and say it right, because I already know you know, right?
Oh, man, I'd have to see it to read it.
Oh, dude, it's a rough one. I need to stop complaining about some of our firewall players.
Right.
So anyway, he comes out and gives out this big announcement. Says, today I'm pleased to share with you our next generation of VR system that will be coming to the PlayStation 5. So that says something really big right there. Enabling the ultimate entertainment experience with dramatic leaps in performing and interactivity. Players will feel an even greater, that's much better, greater sense of presence and become even more immersed in their game worlds once they put on the new headset. So just breaking down that quick little comment, and there's a lot more to this, and I'll tell you where you can go read this, but just breaking that down, your PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 4 Pro just became expired, basically. If you want to play the new of the new PSVR, that's going to be the step you have to take. Hopefully you guys got into it a little bit early. I'm going to stop just for a second. I'm going to take a little breath.
Sure.
We'll just from that first statement, what are your thoughts on that?
So our dreams have been answered. That's really what this is saying. With previous speculation around Sony's statements regarding VR and the future of VR, a lot of people were concerned that they weren't going to be moving into the next generation, because there was no definitive answer. We've seen a lot of patents, but of course we know there are a lot of patents that often go through, get approved, but never result in any tangible outcome. But now they have officially announced, hey, guess what? We actually do have a next generation PlayStation VR. Now, they're not actually naming it PlayStation VR 2, so we're not going to say we can't say definitively that it is going to be that next leap and bound into the future until they actually confirm, like, hey, this is technically our next generation. It's not like a pro version, for example. So we can't definitively say it's PSVR 2 yet, but what we can say, and I don't know if it's in one of these, thank you so much for the gift there. I don't know what the next segments or, quotes that you have say, but what I do know is that dev kits already exist and they are in the hands of developers.
That's true. Very, very much true. And I swear I'm gonna go a little off the kilter here, but I would say if you own a PSVR and you've been paying attention to some of the games that are coming out, me personally, I've been looking at some of the games before PS5 came out, and I kept saying that really looks like it's made for VR.
Yeah.
But then it's for dual controller, it's for PS5, it looks beautiful, yada yada yada. One game in particular is Shooter. I think it's called Shooter. It's a game that's actually available right now on PS5, but it's a little bit like it's like a Groundhog Day almost, where you just keep repeating the day over and over until you can beat the guys. You know what I'm talking about? I'll look it up here in just a second.
from that description, what's coming to me is Deathloop.
Deathloop.
Is that what it
Why
is?
did I say just shooter? Maybe it's just because shooter game.
I don't know. There's shooting in it.
Nice save.
Yeah, Deathloop. Yeah, Deathloop looks sick. Is it my type of game? Not necessarily, but it looks fun as hell, and I thoroughly enjoy watching it. And I really like the artistic design choice that they made, and for their character and environmental look. But yeah, I'm the same as you, Rad. I've been looking at old PSVR titles and PlayStation titles and current PSVR titles and PlayStation 5 titles. And I constantly think to myself, okay, we have Hitman 3. We have a couple other games coming out. There's talk about Ubisoft making some VR titles. There's talk about other developers making VR titles. But are we going to be stuck with our existing PSVR headset? Well, according to this quote that's up on screen for our podcast listeners, you won't be able to see it, but it says they're making this system specifically for PS5. It's going to stand the test of time, and it's going to be the ultimate entertainment experience. Dramatic leaps in performance and interactivity. My question is, what are the performance specs? Because I think it was the last episode of Tech Talk, I actually discussed how the PSVR actually stands up a little bit in terms of some of the specs. The resolution is probably the significant downgrade as compared to all the other VR headsets that are out there. But aside from that, it still stands up relatively well. Other people will complain, well, you still need this peripheral box to connect it to. In fact, we still have to use that box. Well, the new PSVR title or headset is only going to require one cable. Now, this is a topic of debate. Is this cable suggesting that the headset's going to be tethered, permanently tethered, or is this cable temporarily attached to the PS5 for charging purposes or continuous play over time? I personally think that when the time comes and the PSVR headset comes out, it is going to be a standalone headset with the cable attachments that you can charge it and continue play over a long period of time. That's what I think, and that's what I'm hoping for, because I think Sony would be unwise to put out a new product when you have the Quest 2, and Quest Pro, perhaps? We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Just a little bit.
Like with these standalone headsets coming out and Sony claiming that they're going to make a dramatic leap in performance and interactivity, the latter word being the most important, interactivity, you're going to have an untethered experience for that, in my opinion.
I agree. I know that just 2 weeks ago on Tech Talk, we were talking about a potential PSVR, and I kept saying I personally feel that Sony is screwing up. Now, this is 2 weeks ago. Sony is screwing up. You've got all these different players coming out with new devices. Oculus coming out with a new device like every year and a half. And then we've had our PSVR for 4 years now, and we're still waiting. We're waiting. We're trying to be loyal to Sony, but Sony's screwing up. They need to give us something. Yeah. Sure enough, about a week and a half later, they end up coming out with this announcement. Will you pull up the next
Absolutely.
Little screenshot there? So the field of view tracking and input. See, it will connect to a PS5 with a single cord to simplify setup and improve ease of use while enabling a high fidelity visual experience. I personally think it's not going to ruin the experience if it's tethered. A lot of PC, VR is still tethered. You can do an Oculus Quest untethered and play games. You just got to have really, really good Wi-Fi to do it, but it works. I don't feel good about this if you can't unplug it and play tethered or play. You got to be able to play tetherless. Do the Wi-Fi at least. I got a lot of worries about this, but I'm hoping that the tethering is to charge it, like what you said. Yeah. Give it a charge or give it a boost. Keep it tethered.
Titch makes a point in chat saying, is Oculus considered only one cable? No, it's considered wireless. So when they say only one cable, it's one cable, or they would have said wireless. Now, for many other companies, I would agree with you, but Sony has always played with words. They have never necessarily been very direct in their messages. Sometimes they like playing with the words to keep us on our toes and then surprise us with some fantastical display of their product, of their hardware. So I'm not going to put it past Sony to be a little coy here and say, yeah, it will connect to your PS5 with a single cord. It says that doesn't mean that it's going to stay tethered to your PS5 with a single cord. It's saying it will connect to your PS5 with a single cord. Now, a lot of people are going to be very excited about that because right now the existing PSVR is one cable from your headset, but it splits into two. And then that goes into a box, which then connects to your PlayStation. So there's a whole bunch of cords that they're going to eliminate right off the get, which is awesome. I congratulations, Sony. That's fantastic. I'm proud of you. But let's make that shit wireless, please.
Yeah, Drywall had a question. He said, I thought Oculus was wireless. Oculus is wireless, but there's actually a lot of games that you can play that are computer VR games now on the Oculus Quest, where if you tether it to your computer, as long as you got the setup for that, it'll play on an Oculus Quest. You don't have to go out and buy a new headset, like a computer headset, basically.
And Oculus has not just the Quest, but it also has the Rift CV1, which was the first rendition of their Rift. And then they have the Rift S, which is probably one of the better PC VR headsets out there. Some would debate that. Obviously, the Index is up there, but the Rift S is high quality. So those are all tethered as well. As Rad was saying, there's a lot of PC VR head units that are actually tethered. And I understand the function of the cords, okay? There's a direct connection in no latency. I get that. 100% from what's being produced on the machine going into your headset to your HMD. There is no latency. I get that. The only
It'll
latency
always run better that way.
And the only latency you will get is potentially from the controllers and how they're tracked. But then all that power that's coming from your PC that is powering your headset is going to power the cameras inside. So it's going to capture that. Unless you have the boxes, the tracking boxes, which are on the old CV1, the Rift S. You don't necessarily need the towers for the Rift S, but it is an option. So unless you have those, it should be okay. But all I'm saying is, if they are truly talking about taking it to the next generation, they need to have an option. I'm not saying it has to be wireless, like flat out and only wireless. I'm saying it has to be an option. It's for it to truly be the next generation. I don't want to be constantly tethered. Yeah. Is everybody going to have the greatest Wi-Fi and internet connection? Hell no.
No.
I mean, Oculus Quest owners all around the world, some of them have great connection, some of them don't. It all depends on what you're able to afford and where you live geographically. But to stay competitive, Sony needs to have that option. And the accessibility is imperative to sales. If you don't have the most accessibility in your product, you're not going to get the greatest sales. And right now, Sony is totally being beaten by Quest. We saw the numbers before in our very first episode. Holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
In 2020 alone, when the Quest 2 was released, over 1 million sold. And the PSVR barely broke, 15,000 in that year? So, you got to compete. And Rob says here, Raz256 in chat says, he said the Hammerhead, 200 degrees of freedom, or field of view, 5K resolution. If anyone knows the Chinese product, Pimax is offering something similar to that. There's some talk that it's a great product. Those who have tested it, does it beat the Index? For some, maybe. For others, not so much. I don't think Sony is going to reach that field of view. But it would be nice if they can increase it. It's already better than the Quest. So if they can improve on that, I'll be happy.
Can we go to our next quote there from
Absolutely.
Mr. I'll try again just a bit. There's still a lot of development underway on our new VR system, so it won't be launching in 2021. Controller along with focus, and hang on a sec, that's actually merged comments there. Let me.
Yeah, sorry. I'm trying to get it right worries.
Let's see. So okay, so that's a basic quote right there that I was worried about. It won't be launching in 2021. I mean, last I checked, we're still in February, dude. I mean, so I mean that's not good. This is that question that we asked 2 weeks ago. Let's just hypothetically say that PSVR is going to be announced, all right?
Mm-hmm.
When does Oculus Quest 3 / maybe Pro, and we'll talk about that in a minute again, but when does that release? When does that release? Because right now you've got Facebook who's releasing headsets every year and a half. So Oculus Quest 2 is out now, but I mean it's been out since October, and
And like you
just
said, they're kind of like on a year and a half cycle with the releases.
Yeah, and to me, my guess is that probably PlayStation, I'm just guessing, they're not going to release it until October, November-ish, and that's based on holiday season. They're going to wait for the holiday season. So you're already in 2022, October, which should mean that the Oculus Quest 3 should be out by then. So now Sony's got their hands full, not knowing what the technology could potentially be from Facebook and what upgrades come with a 3 or a Pro, what their price point's going to be. We don't even know that about PlayStation yet. I just think their timing's all off, man. I think they should have done this when they announced PlayStation 5. I think on this last state of play that they just did last week, I think they should have showed us at least a dev kit, something.
Yeah,
Make me loyal again.
I agree with you. I think not releasing any kind of visual information is going to hurt them in the long run. But
Yeah.
I think making this statement that it won't be launching in 2021 is more of a buffer for them. Because let's think about all the confounding variables. We have COVID, which is still running rampant. Okay, vaccines are out, but people are still dying from it. All right, that shit ain't under lock. It's still a problem. People are working from home. So that's going to delay a whole lot of things. We already see it with game titles. We already see it with hardware. Things are getting delayed left or right. So people are still working from home, which means all these dev kits that are going out, they're going to people's homes. They might not be going to the actual studio themselves. Then with whatever experience that they have to communicate that with their team members. So we have that. The PS5, even though it's brand new, people love it, sold so many units, it's still having its issues. People are complaining like they're not performing optimally. Sometimes they have to return them. The controllers we talked about last week, there is some controller drift, so thumbstick drift. So they got to work all those kinks out. They don't really have a plan on replacing those. They actually just got stock back in stores in Target and Best Buy, or at least in my area that I'm aware of. So they're just restocking shelves. They've got a shitload to do with PlayStation 5. They don't have the amount of time to spend working on the PSVR next generation headset to release in 2021. I think with the COVID, with the issues with the PS5 and the demand with very little product available, I think those are things that are combating the release date. And so this statement gives them a buffer to push it out to 2022. And I really think it's going to be released Q1 or Q2 of 2023. I don't even think we'll see it next year, if you ask me, because when they finally get the hardware design put together, they run more tests on it. That's going to take probably a whole nother year to do, along with creating games for it. They're going to want some sweet ass releases for this next generation headset if they're really going to pull in more customers or keep their current fan base. Just a couple thoughts of mine.
Only thing I gotta say is all right. And if you're riding in the car listening to this right now, just go ahead and turn it down if your kids are in there. But fuck that, man. Fuck that. First of all, listen, man. We follow all kinds of different tech, all right. And I love every bit of tech that I can watch, man. When you watch a guy like Elon Musk who comes out with a company like Starlink, where he's like rockets and sending people out to Mars and shit. And he's going to do this shit in our lifetime. We're going to see this. He's got Starlink. He's got Tesla, where he's literally taken over almost all of the car industry and changing people from gasoline vehicles, what's been sturdy in this country for generations. And he's changing them all over to EV vehicles because they're so damn cool. All right. Then he's got Neuralink, where he's going to make us cyborgs and make us geniuses, like brain surgery and shit. And then he's got the Boring Company, which is boring tunnels underneath busy cities that so freeing up traffic. Mm-hmm. And he's also working on something like on a Hyperloop. I know it's not Hyperloop. I think it might be Hyperloop. I don't know, but it's like an above ground suction tunnel. It's going to fast move
Futurama shit then.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if this one guy can do all this shit, really hard to tell me that PlayStation can't make a PS5 and a VR at the same time. I understand COVID. I understand it's tough. I don't know. And look, and I'm being picky because look, I do acknowledge that PlayStation takes a loss on the consoles. Mm-hmm. They make their money up on the games. I imagine they're going to go in the same format as the PSVR. So to financially protect themselves, it does make sense. Mm-hmm. But I don't know why it just feels like Sony is either late to telling us this or just flat out late to the game. I just feel that way.
I mean, there's got to be.
Everybody's got VR headsets coming out yearly to every 2 years. Mm-hmm. I've had mine for 4 years, and I'm ready for the new shit.
There's got to be
loyal to Sony.
There's got to be something else going on. I mean, we also have to remember. Okay, there are reports out right now that Sony is being sued for some things. Okay, then they have the Cyberpunk situation, which they had to get under wraps and under control. They have the PS5 bugs that they got to fix. I mean, these are just the things that we know. I can't imagine how many other things that they have going on that we don't know about. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm not saying that I'm okay with it. I want this new VR headset. If they already have dev kits going out to developing teams, then they should already have a fucking unit. All right, like they should already have something designed. They should already be almost ready to go by 2022. I understand not releasing it in 2021. Give your new console a little bit of a life cycle. You know, get it up and going. Get some of those exclusive games out there. I get it, but. Mm-hmm. Don't segregate your small VR fan base by pushing out give them the hope here by announcing that, hey, this exists, woohoo, we got dev kits out, but it's not going to release for a while. Like, give us something.
Well, if you'll pull up that last quote, I believe it's the last quote. Yep, got it right here. So one of the innovations we're excited is our new VR controller, thank God, which will incorporate some of the new features found in the DualSense wireless controller. So we're talking about haptic feedback here, along with a focus on great ergonomics. So, all right, so I got the angry side out of me from my PSVR love.
I'm going to show you something that will enrage you. God damn it! For those listening, I'm holding a Move controller in my hand. This was great technology in the PlayStation 3 era. This. This should never have transitioned over to a VR headset ever. Like, this should never have been developed in tandem with it.
I will not say that, because I know 4 years ago, to get a VR, you had no choice but to have a $2,000-$3,000 computer. The rigs that you had to buy were $1,000 pretty easily. So you're looking at $3,000-$4,000. Sony made it available to me with the tools that I already purchased from them. So they didn't just kill it. And look, and Sony's known for like PlayStation Vita, you know, where it's still there, but they just don't really love it a lot, and it's a great device. They just don't give a lot of support. So to be able to go back and say, look, hey, we've got this tool that will work, and we can make it affordable so everybody can play VR. All you got to have is a PlayStation 4, which a lot of people had. Mm-hmm. So I'll give them all respect on that. But holy shit, again, 4 years, people, 4 years we've been waiting for new technology to find out tonight, or 5 days ago. We're going to have to wait a couple more years for more technology. So that's why I'm getting an Oculus Quest 2. I've got to have some more buffer time. Everybody is moving over to new things, or they're, it's just time. It's time. But I am very excited about this, and I'm really, really praying to God that we're going to get at least some type of an aim controller replacement.
Gotta have that. They're saying DualSense wireless controllers with a focus on great ergonomics. First of all, great ergonomics. Better have a hand strap that goes around the top of your hand so you don't have to hold on to it the entire time. We've seen patents for that include the hand strap that goes over the hand. I hope that, didn't I say 2023 when we spoke about it the other week? Yeah, I think so, Titch. Yeah. Yeah, I think you did, and I agreed with you. I didn't think it was going to be any earlier than that. I want it sooner. I want it sooner than that, but I don't think it will. But in terms of ergonomics, it better sit in your hand well. And it better have the technology, the grip technology that we see in all the PCVR controllers today. Even the Quest controllers. The first rendition of the Quest controllers has touch recognition on all the triggers, on all pretty much all the flat surfaces. The only thing it doesn't have is the resistant technology that we see in some of the new virtual gloves that are coming out. Although those aren't consumer ready yet, they're still developing them for the consumer. But with the haptic DualSense technology that they use in their PS5 controller, I can see them incorporating that into the triggers, which will probably give that sensation of resistance. So maybe if they have a trigger button or some sort of haptic feedback in the handle itself where you'd have to squeeze to actually like pick something up, that'd be really, really cool.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see where they go with it because right now we have very little information on it. We only have the patents, which don't necessarily give a whole lot of information other than there's going to be a joystick, there's still going to be face buttons, there's going to be a trigger. But that's about all we got.
All right, and I'm still saying you and Titch are wrong. It'll be 2022. 2022 release. There's no way in shit it's coming out this year. God, I wish it was. But there's no way in hell they're going to wait till 2023. I just cannot see that. I think they're going to get their asses pummeled if they do. Again, if you guys listen to Tech Talk, go back a couple weeks. We were just talking about all these different headsets that are about to come out. Apple is one of them. Oculus will come out with another one. And in the meantime, PSVR is going to come out with new technology. They had better get the technology up to date when they release, because I'm telling you, they're going to get their asses handed to them if it's slightly old, anything slightly old.
Yeah. I agree.
This is just not a console. That's all I say. It's not a console.
So Raz256 says in chat, Wolf in VR, if you guys don't know him, he has a YouTube channel. Really cool guy. Does awesome narrative work only in VR. Go check him out. He's right. He didn't have a PSVR for a while. When he played a whole bunch of games on the PC, he wanted to kind of expand his library a little bit and decided to get a PSVR. He picked up a few games over there. He had the same concerns with the light tracking that we have, but ultimately the titles were awesome. He loved them, so he bought them. And so Rob's follow-up statement is Sony has a titles. And this is true. Sony is known to have a huge library of an array of different game types, from shooters, RPGs, arcade, family-based. Like they have a variety, whereas Xbox, I'm going to shit on Xbox again, by the way. If you can't tell from my previous podcast, I don't like Xbox very much.
That's just so easy to shit on them.
It's so easy to, because
Go ahead.
they don't have the variety, man. Like I remember having the very first Xbox, and it was pretty much just shooters. We had Fable, sure. Fable was a big one, but a lot of them, like, it just wasn't it ended up evolving into just more FPS games. And then, I mean, that those are their highlights. You know, you have Gears of War, you have Halo. You see how hard it is for me to rattle off Xbox titles. Those are the big hitters. You know, PlayStation has so many different ones. So Sony has the titles. They have great imaginative teams working for them. I can't wait to see what we're going to get for PSVR in the future.
Okay, so moving on. We got to move on away from PSVR. I'm sure we'll get some more information as it comes out, and as it comes out, we'll keep you guys updated. But moving on, our next subject was Facebook Quest Pro.
Yeah. Okay. So I like perusing Upload VR's website. If you guys aren't checking out their website on a regular, I encourage you to. They have a lot of ins in the industry, so they have information really, really early on. There's a few people that work over there that I'm not a huge fan of, but they at least give you objective information. So, according to Upload VR, and Harry Baker, the author of this article, wrote, in another one of his increasingly frequent Instagram AMAs, I don't know what that stands for, so, but is what it is. Facebook's vice president of augmented and virtual reality, Andrew Bosworth, hinted at the potential of a new Quest Pro model and discussed other upcoming features. It's a fairly long read, but I am going to just keep it explicitly to the note of Quest Pro. Let me just make sure I have the right spot. Okay, I think it's this spot. Bosworth also responded to a question asking if there were any plans for implementing eye tracking on Oculus Quest. He said that eye tracking is a super interesting area that Facebook has been researching for a long time, and that's something we will fit into some future headsets. He then pointed out one of the major benefits of eye tracking about resolution and being able to focus on a particular spot that you're looking at and decreasing the resolution in other areas, so like on the border of your vision, which actually improves the processing power of your headset and draws less power. So there's always that upside. I'm certainly glad they're making, and then with regards to PSVR, he actually says, I'm certainly glad they're making one. PSVR was such a tremendous hit. And was a huge place for our developers to make cash, and I hope PSVR 2 is as well. He then goes on talking about app sharing and stuff like that. Let's see. I'm sorry, I couldn't highlight it because it's all on my phone, so I have to look at it here. There's virtual desktop PCVR, which we'll talk about as well. Mm-hmm. They were super conservative about that. And one user posted a question to Bosworth that read, why can't Oculus make a $600 headset and put the best specs like Quest Pro 3, etc., please? Bosworth then said, Quest Pro, huh? Interesting. Wink to the camera. So he's being a little coy. He's teasing, and I caution you to read too much into that. We already heard potential news about a Quest 3. It may not officially be coined Quest 3. It could potentially be Quest Pro, which is what maybe Bosworth is hinting at here. But in this article, there was a question by a fan who asked about a Quest 3 Pro, and he said, Quest Pro, interesting, and then winks at the camera, suggesting, hey, they've already thought about it. Maybe it's under development. Whether it's a Quest 3 Pro or just a Quest Pro, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
From previous talks that we've had, we do know for a fact that through Zuckerberg himself that they are under development with their new VR headset. We, like you said, we just don't know the name. Is it going to be Quest 3 or is it going to be Pro? Pro is actually something new to me that I haven't heard yet. I think they're the bee's knees, man. I think that this is anybody who's going to jump into the VR world is going to have to go balls deep into it, man. I'm just telling you the truth. It's Zuckerberg did, and I think that makes him stand out. Just like the EV cars and Elon Musk we were just talking about. He went balls deep on it, and he was dead ass serious with a plan, and he did it. That was his sole focus for a while. So.
Do you think it's more realistic to expect a Quest Pro or Quest 2 Pro over a Quest 3 at this point? Because, I mean, like you said, they're kind of on a 1.5 year cycle, but would it make more sense considering the success of the Quest 2 that they just go with a Pro version of the Quest 2 rather than doing a full leap forward? Because I remember mentioning to a few of our viewers, don't necessarily worry about waiting for a Quest 3 because even if it were to come out, you could get the Quest 2 and there's not going to be a significant difference in the specs. I can almost guarantee it. So do you think that hint at the Quest 3 is really a hint at a Quest 2 Pro?
I don't know. I mean, be honest with you, because the way that these guys are, I mean, just last year, late last year, you had the VP of Sony saying that their VR world, VR technology is just they're going to stay in it, but that they weren't going to be on top of it anymore. And then here we are today talking about the new PSVR 2 that was just announced by them. So mixed messaging all over the place. I personally think that if Oculus wants to go for the jugular, they're going to make one that's going to be like an Oculus, almost in the Apple world, like a an S model, just not a full package, not a full remodel upgrade, but an S model. It's going to be a nice little boost where if you have your Oculus Quest 2, you don't feel like an idiot for having that instead of having the Oculus Quest 3 because it's so close in specs. But if they want to go for the jugular, I'd say just do a normal little update like that. If they go for a Pro and try to go for a $600 or $700 headset, that's up to them, man. But there's so many different headsets. It starts when you get into that price range, you got to start asking, like, is this the one that I should get? Or I mean, hell, if I spend like $100 more, I might be able to get the bee's knees one, the badass one. So I think people might question that. If you make it a $300 headset, it's like there's nobody out there that can compete with them right now. It's why they have the market. If they stay in that pattern, it will be all on the Oasis together with our Oculus headsets on.
And some people may be thinking, well, they're not really competing with the hardcore fan base who is using Windows mixed. The Windows mixed reality and the Valve Index and the HTC and the Rift S. I can guarantee you that all those hardcore VR users have a Quest. Can almost guarantee it. You can see a lot of them are also YouTubers or Twitch streamers. You could see their array of headsets. There's a Quest there. So don't think that just because it's a lower price means it's a lesser value.
Right.
The Quest is very valuable. It has advanced VR in ways that no other headset has, just like the Valve Index has with their controllers and their visual fidelity. Like the Valve Index has done great things. The Quest has just done the same thing. I think we are actually going to see a Quest Pro over a Quest 3 because... And here's the reason why. It would make more financial sense to release a Pro over a 3 because the Pro will be a relatively small upgrade to the existing Quest 2, helping them rack in a little bit more money, especially from those hardcore, die-hard fans of VR, but also pulling in a larger fan base who are like, okay, well, the base model seems great, but I heard issues with the straps and all that stuff. I might as well go with the Pro version, which has a little, the specs are a little bit better, and the comfort I hear is better. So I'm just gonna go to that and just bypass the Quest 2 completely, and just go for that. So I think they can tap into various parts of the market by going with the Pro, and then a year later putting out a Quest 3, where it is definitely a generation above. But.
Yeah, and just to push off of that point that you just made, that a lot of our friends that we have, they have Oculus Quest 2s, and we still play Firewall. All of those guys, every one of my friends at least who have one, they always go back to PSVR playing Firewall because Firewall's a damn good game, and it's unlike a lot of other games. It's in a lot of ways it's more real, gives you that more real feeling. So yeah, again, just because you got a PSVR, which is technically one of the older VR headsets now, does not mean that you can hang this one up, because I mean it's still a primary for a lot of people, or their go-to for a lot of people. So yeah, I'm with you.
A few other notes before we move on from Quest talk. Well, one, I want to mention a few things. For, AMA, which for anyone else listening who doesn't know what AMA stands for, I didn't know what it stood for because I'm not one of those people who's like, hey, I'm into abbreviating fucking everything that we say. It means ask me anything. So thank you, Titch. Thank you, Rob, for letting me know that. So ask me anything is what that Instagram thing was all about. And then Rob also states that Pro is definitely a term used loosely, but it's definitely specs that already exist, but the imperfections of the Quest 2 are improved upon. So in other words, a Pro is just, it's the same headset essentially, but improved a little bit regarding the hardware, not the software, because what Oculus and Facebook does really well is improve on the software rather rapidly. So there is that. If the Pro were to remove the mechanical IPDs, interpupillary distant lenses, like if they could get rid of the mechanical and go back to the slider that they had on the original, I would say that that's a significant upgrade and is deemed worthy of being called a Pro. Another thing to note is that for those who use virtual desktop, I don't know if there's any listeners or any viewers right now who use virtual desktop, but virtual desktop was something that a developer had created, a software developer created that allowed Quest users to access their desktop without being connected to it, so wirelessly. People were trying to utilize that to access their PC games through virtual desktop. Well, Oculus couldn't control that. So they said, well, you can have it on our market, but the features are going to be limited. So rather than having it on the market, they went through side quests where people could actually access it that way and use the APK file, shift it over onto their headset, and then gain access to virtual desktop and all of the features. Well, recently, Facebook has loosened the reins and they said, you know what? With our shift to opening up our market much more, to try to, essentially negate side quest, why don't you bring virtual desktop back with all of its features, and now anyone can access the streaming accessibility option through virtual desktop from our store. So now there's no limitations. So if you guys want virtual desktop so that you can access all your PC games without being linked up to it, it's available now. Go check it out, download it, and bam.
Again, man, they give you more and more and more reason to make that switch over to Oculus, or at least to have a second headset on hand. I know some of the other things we went over that. I was also going to mention on March the 8th, we got Titch Talk on AHC. He's going to be talking with the CMG crew from Firewall. So that is one that you don't want to miss. That is on March the 8th. Also was going to give a little rant about Sony having an outage this past Sunday. I thought my beautiful PlayStation 5 was a big piece of shit. But it's not. It was just Sony that screwed up again. So I was at least going to put out a little rant on that. Again.
Thanks, Sony.
Something else that we're working on as far as the tech talk, we are in talks right now with FCE, some of the developers. We've reached out to them, trying to get an interview with at least one of those guys. Got some Firewall questions. We've got some Solaris questions. As you guys know, or if you don't know, Solaris is another first-person shooter that you can play multiplayer just like Firewall. It's a little bit is way more futuristic or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's been on Oculus for a while, so there's a bunch of people on there. It's coming over to PSVR sometime this spring. So I'm going to get it for sure. I am absolutely going to get it, but I'm sure that we've got a lot of people who have questions about it. I'm kind of wanting to know more about the future. Where does FCE where are they putting all their love right now? We got some Firewall people have questions and concerns, and I think if we're all going to make this jump, or if we're going to try out some new stuff, we kind of want to know how this game's going to be treated. You either love or hate Firewall and the issues that it's had. And I think it's like with any game, it's going to have issues. Look at Cyberpunk. And Firewall has been nothing like and Firewall has been nothing like that. I mean, we've had our good days, we've had our bad days. But I guarantee you, even on the bad day, you kept your ass in that lobby saying, I'll make it work this time, and just click again. So, we are in talks with them. Hopefully we can get an interview set up and go from there. So
yeah, if I could get on a small pedestal.
There's your soapbox.
Just a small one. Okay, I'm not going to go in on FCE too hard, but I do want to say a few things about First Contact Entertainment. So the 3 titles that they have put out, yes, 3 titles. For those who don't remember, ROM Extraction was actually their very first title. Many people don't know about it because it didn't do well. The game looked beautiful. First Contact Entertainment knows how to make a game look good, but it was a wave shooter. You couldn't move around freely. You were stuck in a spot. It was a wave shooter. It was like a very bad version of Aliens. But, it didn't sell really well. It wasn't a big thing. Then they made Firewall 0 Hour. Great game right off the get. Made some small improvements. Then you had the very first season, which was a flop because of all the networking issues. They corrected that. The UI was different. The graphics were improved. They took away some features, which they claim helped performance, which is bullshit. So ignore that. And then we've had season after season after season where things were added, whether it was characters, skills, equipment, whatever. And now they have Solaris. Solaris was pushed out too early, if you ask me. I was in, not for the beta, but for the initial release. And it was missing a lot of features. It was missing multiplayer features like party invites, party systems. They are new to the PC VR universe, so they had only you know how in Firewall both hands are connected to the gun. They had the same thing in Solaris, and a lot of PC VR users were like, what the fuck, why can't I do anything with my one hand? Like, my left hand is stuck to the gun. This is stupid. What's the point of having my left controller? They took way too long, in my opinion, way too long to implement free movement of the left hand. They were putting it off. They just recently put in an invite system. And all the while, they said that with Solaris that they were going to improve communications. Why did they say that? Because their communication all through Firewall's development and improvement has been shit. And we all know this. Anyone who's been part of the Discord, part of the Facebook group, their communication is bad. I'm not saying that their game and the product is bad. I'm saying them as a company has really struggled and pleasing their community. And I'm not going to point any people out. It's a number of people. So what I'm most concerned with regarding our interviews, are we actually going to get an interview? Or are we just getting like a very flat, hey, we'll talk about it, let's try to arrange something, and then they never get back to us, which seems to kind of be the case at the moment. You had asked them last week and given them pretty much a week to respond, and they haven't really responded. As for Firewall, I'm not going to name our sources, but there was a little bit of information that we received that, yes, they do plan on having more seasons. They're in talks with Sony to get approval of that, but whether or not it's going to happen, we don't know. So if you have hack keys, just want to say, hold on to them, because apparently there's going to be more seasons.
My understanding is they don't have much choice but to hold on to them because they can't do anything with them currently.
Can't do shit with them.
That is one of those sensitive questions that I was actually going to ask them, because you do have a lot of guys who have some hack keys and they can't use them. They can't. Are you one of them?
Oh yeah, dude. I bought every season operation bundle and I had like 25 hack keys each time. Right now I have well into the teens, maybe even the 20s of hack keys. So
yeah. I'm hoping that FCE can acknowledge what AHC does for them. We do promote their game a lot. We follow all the tournaments that are going on. We commentate all the time. We try to cover these things as often. I mean, there's really a lot of coverage that we give just this one game, Firewall. Mm-hmm. And now we are starting to open up the ideas of other games that are out there that are multiplayer. We're already in Rocket League and other games. Mm-hmm. And it's just, I would really, really like to hear what the future of Firewall is going to be and Solaris. I just want to know that there's going to be lots and lots of love from the developers, because like I said, I thought my PS5 was broke. It was this piece of shit. It's huge piece of shit. And
It's a good paperweight.
yeah,
Very
but it
good
wasn't that at
paperweight.
all. It was the Sony network going down. So it's just, but if you're playing Firewall, I'm saying, I hate to say this, but you do kind of get into this like zone where you expect the glitches to happen when you blue screen or
I think that's the
you get
biggest.
dropped for
I
no
think that's the
reason.
biggest problem. You know,
We've adapted to it.
but why as a developer? Oh my gosh, here I go. Okay, why as a developer, knowing all this, when you have a Discord with the same issue being presented to you time and time again, do you continue to ignore it? Oh, because you have a vision for your game? Good for you. I'm glad you have a vision, but don't ignore essential features like, I don't know, better matchmaking, having some sort of system in place so you're not sitting in lobbies forever. I mean, this lobby issue has been a routine concern. Lag has been a routine concern that has been reported.
Brazilians.
Fucking Brazilians. I love you guys, but play on your own goddamn server. They don't have dedicated servers yet for Solaris. They do. Why have they taken, since Solaris has been out, by the way, since maybe late quarter 3 of 2020? I'm trying to remember how long I've been playing it. Actually, I only played it for a little bit, but like I'm trying to remember how far back it went. I think it was August, maybe September that it released. They've had dedicated servers for Solaris. Why is that not transferred over to Firewall? Oh, because you're waiting for Solaris to go over to PlayStation? That makes no sense. That's a terrible time frame. As soon as you have dedicated servers, put your other title on it so that people are getting in and connecting better rather than doing this player to player. I don't know. I have issues. I think FCE makes great games. I think the way they look, the way they play is great, but they got to do better with their community. They got to do better with communication. They have to have roadmaps. Their roadmaps don't exist. They tried to make one for Solaris. It looked like shit, and they couldn't even commit to the time frames. They got to do better on that front. As a company, they got to do better.
Ooh-wee.
Yeah.
So anyway, so what do you really think?
I really think I want this interview because I want some of these questions answered, but I highly doubt I will. And I don't want anyone hearing this to think I don't like FCE. I have my issues with FCE just like every other fan does. What my hope is that they actually hear these things at some point and realize we really have to listen to the community more. We have to let go of the reins a little bit more, and we have to add certain features that people are requesting if we want to keep them in. Because Solaris flopped, they're having a hard time keeping a fan base afloat. They are so desperate at this point that they have entered a community-created Discord who is running tournaments. Okay, a community-driven Discord that is running tournaments that they have gone into support and try to, I don't know, enhance support, promote. They've promoted this Discord in these tournaments. Oh, by the way, they've never done that for us, and they've never done that for the Pro League, throwing that out there. But they're doing it, I think, because they're so desperate to get a player base in Solaris at this point.
Well, and that's another reason why I say I'm going to play good cop, bad cop here, because that's another reason why I think that we ought to get an interview with them. Because I mean, if we all love Firewall and we all are dedicated to it, and we're about to start up a new tournament. You know, I mean, we want the game to continue, and we want the community to grow, and we're promoting that. I think that the least that FCE can do is answer a few of our questions. Just reach out to our community, and we are, I mean, in this role that we got, we're in, basically lucky enough to be able to speak for everyone, and everyone has a few questions. And if we got the opportunity to at least ask one developer or one owner or whatever, just what are these basic things? I think that we deserve that personally.
And be honest, don't be passive and give us the politically correct answer. We're looking into that. We're not entirely sure. We'll let you know soon. I don't want some of that politically correct bullshit. Give us a straight answer. If you don't fucking know, say, we have no fucking clue. We're entirely not sure.
Yeah, and my guess is you're not going to get that answer.
Nope.
Yeah, my
Nope.
guess is they're going to go political. Look, I'm just telling you, if I was a corporation, if I'm the one who's made or developer, and I say something, I mean, damn dude, I mean, when you say something, it's in text, people know it, and they're going to hold you to it. So if they start giving out firm dates, or if they start talking about things that could happen, I mean, but it doesn't, then it will be more angry people angry at them.
As long as you put in quality life patches where you're actually attending to the game, making it better, but you don't really know what your roadmap looks like, you have a faint idea, but truly like you're trying to figure it out still, you're going to have a community that respects and understands and appreciates that. Are they still going to be mad? Sure. But at least you're telling them the fucking truth. Don't go around giving them, tossing their concerns aside and completely ignoring like their concerns by saying, oh, well, we're looking into that. And that's all I can tell you.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm trying to understand and relate how it is as a developer. I'm trying to put myself in their shoes. So that would be my challenge to them is let them try to put themselves in my shoes. And as a consumer, when my buddies and I are all playing Firewall and for no reason in the world we drop, or when we're playing Firewall and there's 4 of us here and we're on standby and it takes 15, 20 minutes to find 4 players on Firewall. I know that's bullshit. I know that there's players the load up is screwed up. I just want to know that if are they going to keep supporting this game or are they going to drop it? Because I personally, as a consumer, don't like. I felt the difference when Solaris was released. I did feel like Firewall was not getting as much love. I actually felt it, like with the way that it was performing. So that's my major concern. I agree with you. I think they're damn good developer. I do think that they make Firewall really look better than a lot of games that are out there in its own way. If we had a headset with better resolution, I bet Firewall would be even more amazing. But I just want to hear it from them. Are they going to keep supporting this game that we love so much so, and prove it to us so much so that we all should go out and go get Solaris so we could all play it together, play that one, and move our crowds over there too? I don't know, but I just personally feel like they at least deserve they should give us at least one interview. I really do feel like that.
I'm going to keep my fingers crossed, but given their history of communication and having worked with them directly in the past, yes, Amateur Hour Commentary and First Contact Entertainment have worked together in the past for Firewall Fridays. Given our history, I am not optimistic. I'm hopeful, but I'm not very optimistic, and I'm keeping my expectations low. So FCE, if you can prove me wrong, please do so, because I really want these interviews. I really want to know. If you can, avoid the politically correct bullshit, because you're talking to people who know your game and love your game. They just want straight answers.
Yeah.
And if you're fully invested in Solaris and you have a very small team working on Firewall right now, and you're like, okay, content's going to come out a little bit slower because our team is smaller, we are trying to get Solaris off the ground, that's our focus right now, then fucking say it. All right? Please just let us know. Give us the opportunity.
With that being said, I'm obviously out of sync for some reason.
Yeah, I noticed that. I tried to fix it. I don't know what happened.
Well, I could probably do like a robot dance or something to look really cool. I don't know. With that being said, that's going to be the end of Tech Talk for tonight. Want to thank everyone for attending Tech Talk. Again, we hope we'll be on next Sunday at 9 p.m. Also, don't forget about March the 8th with Titch. That's going to be Titch Talk with CMG.
Those talks, if I can just speak quickly on those talks are freaking amazing. Definitely check them out. We already have 2 Titch's team talks. One was for Meatpack, the other one was Gentleman's Assassin's Guild, and now we're getting Chronic Master Gators in there. These are all genuine people. If you haven't checked them out, go over to our Twitch channel or our YouTube channel and watch them. You get to know the players, you get to know where they came from, how they got together, how they play, and their thoughts around the game. It's fantastic. Check it out.
It is good shit. Go check that shit out. Also, you can go to amateurhourcommentary.com, where we also have our merchandise. Don't forget about Ray's Energy Drink. The link is down below. Click on the link if you live in the U.S., and you're going to get a discount just by using that link. I think that's it for me. I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Wolf, you got anything else?
Check us out on Spotify. That's all
right.
I got.
That's where we're at too. Also, YouTube, Twitch. You can go back and watch the past episodes. I highly, highly recommend go back, watch the Tech Talks, stuff that came to fruition tonight. So it's good stuff. See you guys next week.
Peace.
Peace.